Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning, visiting with our friend Rob Hagans from Arts in Stark. Good morning.
Good morning, Susie.
Always a million things going on in the arts. And you know what? And I've noticed that happened since you came to town.
Oh, very nice. I guess I would go back and say that some people don't realize Arts in Stark is 47 years old. And the reason they don't is because it changed its name about 12 years ago to Arts in Stark. Mm-hmm. What could we do for the entire county, not just the cultural center, which we still own in downtown Canton. So I arrived shortly thereafter, and I think part of that energy you see was going from just being a building, which is still wonderful, and it's a great place, and we love it, to trying to be a county arts council.
Well, let's talk about the fact that it's Stark. It's not Arts in Canton. It's Arts in Stark. Let's talk about some of the things that might be hidden gems going on.
Great. So 10 years ago, we started a countywide grants program. Before that, there wasn't such a program. If you weren't at the cultural center, you didn't get support from. You had to be in our building. The last 10 years, we've given out $1,700,000 in grants to 600 organizations across the county who had never gotten support before. Examples, downtown Minerva, the Art Spot Gallery in downtown Minerva has gotten grants. Example, the North Canton Playhouse. Example, the Lions Lincoln Theater in Massillon. Now, you sort of expect arts examples, but oddly enough, most of the groups that apply are Boys and Girls Clubs and Salvation Army and the Girl Scouts and churches. In fact, I'm looking at my church list, the Antioch Baptist Church, Christ First Praise Dance Ministry, Holy Cross Academy, Heritage Christian, Christ Presbyterian Church, People's Baptist Church, a lot of schools, religious schools like St. Peter's and St. Mary's. So when people apply to us from like the religious community, obviously we're an arts organization, so it sort of feels a little bit reversed. You know, there has to be an arts project first that then supports the church. It can't be a church project that doesn't have a strong arts component. But there are 17 public school systems in Stark County. Our arts program, SMARTS, is in every single one of them, as well as all the Catholic middle and elementary schools. So we're trying to be everywhere, and we're doing okay.
You know, well, you certainly are. Well, one of the things, used to be a camp counselor back in the day at Camp Wakanda for Christ Presbyterian Church. The most popular camp was Fine Arts Camp.
Yeah.
And I can remember, I think they still do that.
They do.
It was just incredible. Every kind of art, visual and dance and music and you name it. It was all such a part of our development and our growing up and part of our spiritual development as well.
So I suddenly realize I'm talking about programs that have sponsors attached to them. Am I allowed to reference the sponsors?
Absolutely, yes. We want to give kudos.
Okay, so the SMARTS program is sponsored by Huntington Bank, and we wouldn't be in every public school system, but since you just mentioned Camp Wakanda, we have another program we started called the Northeast Ohio Genius Project. Talk to you about that, or is that
no? I want to hear more about it.
So 4 years ago we said, and it relates to Wakanda, because the arts make people more creative. They make them more open. They make them more innovative. They use their imaginations more. They make them genius-like. So we started the Northeast Ohio Genius Project, which is sponsored by KeyBank now. But when we started 4 years ago, it was 100 students on 20 teams in Stark County. Wow. And what happened in the last 4 years is that the program's been so successful. And it's the way it works is in the first week in February, you get a box delivered to a middle school. Mm-hmm. It's the Genius Box. And the Genius Challenge is inside the Genius Box. Yeah. But you can't open until we say. And then you open it with your teacher, and then you have 9 weeks to solve the challenge. And then you come to the Cultural Center with your solution. Because we've been working at this too, whereas 4 years ago we were just in Stark County and we had only 100 students on 20 teams. This year, I'm happy to tell you, we have 350 students, 70 teams in 6 counties. And KeyBank has helped make that expansion possible, but it relates to what you're talking about Camp Wakanda, because people want their kids to be more genius-like. People want to be more creative. Sometimes they don't see the role of the arts in that because they didn't grow up with the arts. So we're trying something. So the challenge this year is you have 9 weeks to create the model of a 12-person luxury airliner out of the stuff that's in the box. And it's all low-tech stuff, not balsa wood even, cardboard and gaffer's tape and coffee filters and foam. Okay. Then you have to create a travel plan to visit 7 places on the globe from the Akron Canton Airport. Places like Costa Rica, the Great Barrier Reef, Then and you have to plot the distance to all those places. You have to create a marketing campaign. You have to manage a budget. And then on April the 12th, the best teams are going to come to the Cultural Center, and they have a few more surprise challenges, and then we announce the winners of the 2018 Genius Project.
Wow.
But it relates.
And you have this many high schools. Now, is this high school?
Genius is only middle schools.
Middle school. Oh, I love it because that's really when their brains are taken off, isn't it? Sky's the limit at middle school age. So they're going to be competing in this many students. Do you have an idea of what's happened in the classroom then, since they are being afforded the arts? Are they seeing?
I could show you reams of data, but let me just talk about one. Belden Elementary School, Canton City Schools. The superintendent in Canton City got so excited. I mean, we are in every one of the school systems. So no matter where any of your Stark County listers' kids or grandkids go to school in this county, public school, some private schools. So Taylor Scott is a singer and a theater artist, and she's been working in our Smarts program for 3 years in Belden Elementary. And so this year she sat down with a history teacher, and they said, it's always about teaching art and academics at the same time, so arts and history. So it was about American history, the Revolutionary War. So they decided to do a kind of a musical presentation based on Hamilton right? So the kids learned songs from Hamilton and learned, well, as a result, it's not like this is, so overused word, it's not like this is rocket science. If kids get excited about learning, if kids get up and act out learning or dance out learning or make, if a project, learning works better. Every mother, father, good teacher knows that. But for some reason, some schools don't use it as much as they could. So at the end of this project, when they took their online fall history tests out of 13 lower-level schools in Canton City, Belden Elementary got the second highest score. And there's some sort of some irony in that, because do you know which school got the highest score? The Summit Arts Academy, another arts school that's all about the arts. Yes. So we've got reams of data because at the end of the day, we've gotten so many superintendents and school boards to accept the Smarts program because we raise test scores.
Well, when you think, first, you would assume that a school that focuses on the arts would come in first. But how cool, with a new focus on the arts, that Belden came in.
And the power of arts-focused learning, as we sometimes call it, is you're teaching math and dance at the same time, you're teaching theater and history at the same time, you're teaching science and music. It just, both sides of the brain working together.
We all learn differently. And so when you take out one thing that helps a person learn, then it's going to be harder to learn. Again, not rocket science. So
right.
When you are including everything, when you're opening up the right and the left side of the brain and having it work together, it just makes sense that then everything improves, academics improve, right, all at the same time. Doesn't it? So why, Rob, when schools are cutting their finances, the first thing to go ends up being the specials? They call them the special classes, like music and art and so forth. Why is that the first thing to get cut?
Well, there's a couple of reasons, pragmatic reasons. One is, in the past, in many states, there have been no tests for the arts. There's tests for math and science and music. So obviously everyone's concerned about testing. That's one reason. And the other reason is, it's just kind of because people don't really think a lot about how we're all put together. It's like when you're saying when we came in, I grew up in a Methodist church. How often religious people think about what would happen if you went to church and all the art was gone, if the architecture was gone, if there wasn't any music, if there was no theater, there was no dance. What would the church space and the church service really be like? But people don't think about that. So it's the same way when you start cutting art out of the schools or something. You don't think about this stuff, so you say, oh, okay, well, we'll cut that out. And you don't realize until later that maybe that wasn't the best idea.
Interestingly, last week we learned when someone from Voices of Canton was here that one of the ways to dispel loneliness is to come together as a group and sing.
Yep.
That they're finding that that's got all kinds of health benefits
Yep.
and emotional benefits. And right at a time in our community when we're trying to find out what is missing in our children's lives, that some of them are feeling so lonely and in so much despair that they would consider taking their own life, that here we are with one of the answers. Yes? That involving them in the creative process, and there's a spiritual element to it. I mean, God gave us the arts. God's creative.
Yes.
He's a creator. So when you look at, to be able to give our young people these kinds of experiences, doesn't everybody end up much healthier and happier?
So the campaign theme this year is Art Changes Lives.
There you go. How perfect.
Because, once again, sometimes people don't think about this. So you've just reminded me that Voices of Canton has an Alzheimer's program. And I've seen the video where the wife talks about the changes made in her husband who has Alzheimer's when he sings. I was telling you a while ago that the Masson Museum has this, it was called the Blind Spot exhibit, which they created. And the concept was, well, let's create a show, but let's create a show that a blind person could come experience. So I brought these pictures today, and we're kind of kidding because I got pictures of all the arts, and we can't run the radio. But it's sort of the same, in a sense, your listeners are blind today. They can't see us. They can't see this picture. Well, they said, let's create a show where I'm a blind person. I can come fill the Braille labels. Okay, it tells me this picture is so-and-so. But then they hired artists to translate the experience into things blind people can sense. Like they can hear, here's a piece of music we made about this work of art. Here's something you can touch and feel with the textures of this work of art. So the Canton Palace Theater, one of our 7 largest art groups, decided to create an autistic syndrome movie series because I'm not an expert on this, but loud, crazy, too much stuff. Autistic people don't do well with that. So they tone it all down, and it's a program just for adults and families with autistic kids. So art changes lives, for those of us who love the arts, not just, I just learned something about my life or about, God in my life or the meaning of my life. But the notion of helping people with health issues or the Players Guild Theater gives free tickets to soldiers and poor families, and the Canton Ballet just finished to Touchdown and Tutus, and all the profit goes to scholarships to kids who would never get a chance to dance because they couldn't afford to. So, and the Canton Symphony does kinder concerts, they do them at the Cultural Center. And all these little kids walk in and they hear live music, classical music, first time in their lives. But because we're all involved with education, they teach science principles at the same time they're hearing that. So all the major groups that we support through the annual arts campaign, as well as all these little groups all across the county, do change lives in ways that sometimes we don't think about.
Does it amaze you that a community our size is able to support the arts in such a magnificent way? We've got everything right here. You do not have to travel to a bigger city to see anything. We've got it all right here, and we have it in spades, and we've got it really well. I mean, it's well done.
It is, but you reminded me of something. I was, 2 quick little stories, 2 different parties I'm at. One party, my wife, they both involve my wife because these are 2 shows she went to and I wasn't at. So she's sitting at this party and I'm at it with her, and she says, I went to see the Nutcracker this afternoon. It was fabulous. And the person says, where was that, Playhouse Square? Story number 2, same issue. We're sitting at a table and my wife once again says, we went to see Memphis. It was so good. It was so good. And another person at the table says, I saw Memphis at Playhouse Square, and I saw Memphis here at the Players Guild, and it was better. So I'm not, and the Canton Symphony Orchestra, Gerhard Zimmerman at 35 years. So you are right. The nice way that we sometimes put it is after the Cleveland Symphony, maybe after Playhouse Square, the best art in Northeast Ohio is in Canton, Stark County.
And as their spokesperson, I'm sure this makes your skin crawl when people say best kept secret. You're doing so much to make sure that is no best kept secret, that it is no secret. I think people know. You want to see something really spectacular, go to Canton. Recently at the Canton Museum of Art, where they were able to pull together the Elijah Pierce, that was not a traveling exhibit. That was a one-time only. If you want to see this collection, this is where you see it. It's not going to be all together at the same time anywhere else again. Yep. You mentioned the St. John's Bible when you first arrived. They told us, the St. John's University told us here in Canton, that San Diego had an opening that was not as spectacular as the one that the Canton Museum of Art pulled off. It was pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Town.
Well, we should be, and forgive me for adding towns, because
our community in the whole county.
Yeah. So, for example, this summer we celebrated the 10th anniversary of First Fridays in the Canton Arts District. Yeah. Canton Arts District is 10 years old, 200,000 people, 30 new businesses that weren't there 10 years ago. Still have a lot of work to do, but people come to downtown Canton these days, experience the First Friday or see all the public art, they go, but I could take you to downtown Minerva, where the art spot is, and the Hart Mansion, if you on the Hill and the Roxy Theater. I could take you to downtown Alliance, where the Troll Hole Museum is, and the only cat museum in America. I could take you to Louisville, to the Art Gallery, or Canal Fulton, or Massillon, or Hartville. This kind of using the arts to reinvent ourselves and create a new sense of excitement, as you may have heard recently, to attract more tourists here, because it's about economic development too. The arts have a role to play in our spirits and in our pocketbooks. It's happening. It's exciting because it's happening in Canton and all across Stark County.
Absolutely. We're visiting with Rob Hankins here from Arts in Stark. Going to take a short break. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.